Greetings, Java developers. Welcome back to the second of two, or maybe more, you just never know, installments of the AI Superpowers video series. I'm your host, Mark Heckler, Principal Cloud Advocate of Java and JVM languages at Microsoft. This series was inspired by two things. Firstly, sometime back I created material with the goal of taking Java devs from doing admittedly cool, but not super useful, discovery projects with AI to a position of inspiration and accomplishment with AI. I called this AI 202, and I began sharing it last month with Java user groups. Secondly, a recent announcement that was a close parallel to what I began sharing last month. If you're curious about that, check out the first video in this series for some inspiration on that front. In this video, I'll show you some code I wrote to ask questions of an AI and convert the responses to speech using AI. But that isn't all. By specifying a language in which to reply, we can have the AI create one or more, even a library of responses to common questions in multiple languages. This capability offers numerous potential applications. I'll leave it to your imagination to explore those. Or maybe that will be part 3. Like the last installment, this capability is fairly easy to implement. Check it out. It all boils down to basically a couple of methods, at least as far as I've gotten. For now, we have an endpoint that I've created called translate. And anytime I call that translate endpoint, I can provide one or more parameters. And I like to provide default values where possible, where it makes sense, because that way I don't have to provide all of these parameters, or I can provide all, or just, again, mix and match a bit. So in this case, the default user message will be, what is the meaning of life? And the default answer will be returned in English. And of course, we can choose either to just respond with text or text and save a voice recording, which is a really nice little extra, as you'll see, I think. So all I'm basically doing is creating a prompt based on that user message and then the system message of responding in a particular language. Again, default is English. And I'm calling the chat client and returning a string as content. And then if the save flag is set, then we take that and convert that to speech according to a particular format for the output file. The convert to speech is pretty simple, really. I create a file system resource and a byte array output stream. And then if the response from the AI is lengthy, I break that into 4096 byte chunks. The math is fairly simple and fairly clean, as you'll see. The 4096 comes from the OpenAI API limitation for the text-to-speech portion. So right now, you're limited to 4096 bytes. That's not a problem. We split it up. I just make sure that I get to a blank spot. I'm not truncating a word halfway through. So I'm breaking it up with actual word boundaries there. So 4096 or fewer bytes, fewer characters that I'm passing at each round trip. And then I reassemble those and save them to a file. It's really that simple. So let's go out and take a look. I already have the application running. So let's go ahead and call that. I've actually run this a few times before, but I'm going to go ahead and just run this once so you can kind of see what happens here. Sure, let's go ahead and do Portuguese. I've actually run this and run it with a response request of English, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. It's not limited to Germanic or Romance languages, so you have a lot of options that you can come back with. But in this case, I picked some of my favorites here. So I'm just going to take a look here, and I'll look at TTS because we're responding with TTS underscore output underscore and the language for the MP3 type. So let's go ahead and test out the English and we'll see what we get.
The question of the meaning of life is one of the most profound and enduring inquiries in philosophy, religion, and science. Different perspectives offer various answers.
Now that's pretty good. I run VLC to run these and pull them up and listen to them, and that comes out pretty well. Now, it may not become apparent in these short examples, but the accents are actually pretty good. They're not perfect, but they're
La question du sens de la vie
reasonable.
est l'une des plus profondes et durables dans les domaines de la philosophie, de la religion et des sciences.
I should also point out that there are different voices you can use should you choose to. in terms of OpenAI's voice output capabilities, voice generation, speech
La
generation.
pregunta sobre el significado de la vida es una de las más profundas y duraderas en la filosofía, la religión y la ciencia.
I stuck with one just to keep things consistent. So let's see for our Portuguese.
A questão do significado da vida é uma pergunta filosófica que tem sido debatida por séculos e pode ter diferentes respostas dependendo das perspectivas culturais, religiosas, científicas e pessoais.
So that's pretty good, really. What you can do with a little bit of code and some great APIs in the background. The ability to create a portfolio of responses, both written and spoken, in several languages to common or even uncommon questions has a number of potential use cases. Give it some thought, and you might see something your organization could benefit from right now. Check out the code repo link in the description and like and subscribe so you don't miss the next edition. And if you have any requests for topics you'd like to see me explore, please leave a comment below and let me know. Have AI, will video. See you again soon for the next installment.